so ridiculous, it's stupid. Why are you calling me? So I told her, I say, you can't impress me. I said, you beat up all those women for Abdul Malik because you like Abdul Malik. You know what I mean? You could tell a woman that looks like her, you know, beating up all the cutie pies. Why are you beating up the tenders? You know, why assault? You can't whoop the white off Karima. She's gonna be white. You might put a few black and blue marks on her, but they're gonna go away, and she's still gonna be white. You know what I mean? If 95% of the Negroes like white women, that's the way the world is structured now. Now, I told them in a meeting in '88, I said, because it was a white woman trying to marry me. So I told them, it's a meeting. I said, I'm not marrying no white woman. Because there was half of them was trying, I said, I'm not doing it. Now this is '88. I don't have the same opinion now, but in those days, every nigga that got over $5 and got a little job, he married a white woman. Especially in California. You know, California been mixed race. Everywhere else, down in Dixie, and even back here, it's becoming common, but it wasn't, in those days, it was common, real common. So, my attitude was, if I'm an imam, if I'm getting up talking to people about community and family and all of that, I want to be an example of that. And that's what I told them. I said, so I'm not marrying no white woman. I have nothing against them. So when I was in Europe as a youngster, who am I being running with? Europeans, right? When I'm in Denmark and Sweden, who do you think in those days was in Denmark and Sweden, right? Swedes, not bad looking either. You know what I mean? Swedish. But I was trying to tell them, look, now, as an imam, I'm not going to marry no white woman. That was probably '88 and all of that, you know. Now, so that was because of the environment of those days. But that '88, that's 30-something years ago, right? So 32 years ago, okay, for movement or for this or for that, I can marry anybody I want now. Not that I'm looking for nobody to marry, because I'm busy. But those people never incorporated honor and, you know, what they was doing. And they didn't have deep game. They didn't have no game. Abdul Malik came to the Masjid in '82 when we were still working on it, you know. From over, he'd been coming from time to time. He was over San Francisco State. So he was telling me, so you gotta be like a pimp, you know. And I listened to him for about 10. You ever heard about Iceberg Slim? I've heard about it. I could tell this right out of the book. And he was over there. See, he thought that stuff that they do on campus lasts forever. Them girls on campus, just like high school girls almost. Ooh, he got curly hair. Ooh, this and that. That may last 5 or 10 years. But after the girls that I've run across, they want a stable life, they want this, that, and another, and they'd already tried all them curly-headed people. And curly-headed people are used to people just lacking them. But if they want to get good treatment, they mess with them down-to-earth niggas, right? Tell the truth, like that, you know, that just show you. See, I mean, you could tell that that's just during the day. And, you know, I mean, I'm a little older now, but I was what they call handsome. That nigga's handsome. You know what I mean? That you can't see the suit don't want to fit in my arms hardly. And sharp. I mean, I was sharp. I was okay. All the stuff everybody else wants, I already done dealt with all of that. You know. So I was trying to explain to her, you cannot beat the pretty off those women, and they ain't no happier than you are. In fact, the prettier they are, the better chance they have of not being that happy at all. The better chance. The finer they are, them fine girls, half of them, hey, I mean, no, I won't talk about that subject. But they lack real handsome, super handsome men. They used to people chasing them around. And they think about all your, in high school and maybe in college, hey, the in crowd in high school, where are they at now? The in crowd. That was their best days in high school, right? That was their biggest day. That was their, it's a standard. It's not a few of them, but usually the in crowd in high school, even in college sometime, when you see them, yeah, man, when we was at the football game and then they back in high school, that was it. And the handsome guys never developed. The beautiful women never developed. That was what they calling cards. They're not like that now, but they used to, if you wanted to have a smart girl, you would get one that's a little chunky and a little, you know, and not the most beautiful girl, but you don't want to be with no gorilla or nobody. But right? Somebody kind of in the middle. I'll tell you the truth about myself. I don't even like super duper. Of course I did. I was like anybody else. Didn't have no sense. Right? But if you want substance, usually you won't get it. Usually. With the prettiest thing in the house. Not usually. Because either they're going to get slick because they either, okay, men like me, so I'm going to manipulate men based on my beauty. And that lasts up until about 40, 45, stuff like that. You know, then they'll be using drugs and drinking like everybody else. It'll go away. But a good standard just above a little bit, stable, solid. They have to work for what they, right? Because they didn't have the, hey man, that beats every time. The same thing with Negroes, with men. The curly-headed crew, they don't be as tough physically. They probably are now, but they used to didn't be that tough. If you looked a certain way, first of all the little old lumping-headed niggas was mad at you all the time because you was that so they'd be busting you upside the head. You had to run home. All the girls may be chasing you, but the niggas would be mad. You know, so you had to either learn how to fight real good. No, that's just the way people are. At that age, they're not intelligent enough to know why they do stuff. That's the way they are now in Oakland. Remember I call it as the Masjid turns? They didn't understand even, and they don't right now. Khadijah don't know why she do that dumb stuff. What motivates her? Because she no introspection. Remember, know yourself, know your enemy. You know, she don't know herself. She don't know. She knows that I like Abdul Malik. She know that she like me. She does. That's her problem. I mean, you know when you're getting hit on, you know, unless you're not too smart. And you know, I said, no, I'm just, you know, one of the brothers, I don't mess around. It don't have nothing to do with, so if you want to know why I'm getting them calls all the time, why is this meanness? Why? A woman scorned. Or they call you and play with themselves from your voice. I'm trying to tell you, the game, you know, you learn a lot of stuff in the game. I'm just telling you how it goes. That's what people do. I'm sure everybody know that. But in the game, you can't come through what we came through. That was 50 years ago. You couldn't come through that without getting the game. So you have to know the internal makeup. I told Abdul Malik, when he married Zakiya, he used to snap his finger just like that. And I know where he got it from. China boy, the minister out there in the Nation of Islam. Abdul Malik was a wannabe on the campus. So he would go between the Nation of Islam and us. And China boy knew the weaknesses of him. China boy was the minister in the nation. He wasn't no nice guy either. He was a minister in the Nation of Islam. I mean, not a rotten guy or nothing like that. But I don't know if I told y'all, but he had a briefcase. It was a program at the Youth Development Center in '84. In '84 it was. And so Akbar Muhammad was there speaking. You know, Farrakhan's second in command. And he was speaking, and he gave a reasonable lecture, but it wasn't no deep, it wasn't deep or nothing. And the nation was there, and China, Abdul Malik was trailing along with the nation. And China boy snapped his finger and pointed at the briefcase, and Abdul Malik picked it up and followed him right on out the door. I just said, oh man, that's cool, but that's okay. So I never treated him like that. I never, you know, but see, so Abdul Malik is one of them guys that he think if it work on him, it'll work on everybody. That's why they went wrong. He thought that stuff that works on him, like tenders and cutie pies and all of that, right? That if it work on him, then it'll work on me. That's why all of that nickel and dime stuff, it was coming mainly from him. So Zakiya was a nice lady, and he'd snap his finger and she would holler. So I told him, I said, we're not white men, man. We don't do no. I said, see, Zakiya needed help. She had a crazy white mama. And her mama was crazy. Her mama would say, one of the daughters was pure white girl, the oldest one. You know what she'd say? This is my daughter by a rape. I said, this third lady is crazy. In front of her right there like that. And they had Zakiya had a brother and that lady. When their father died, Zakiya called me, was over there on 8th Street, and she told me what they was doing. And I felt sorry for them, I really did. I felt sorry for them as adults and what they was dealing with. And if you can't help nobody, leave them alone. We are not these miserable, dictatorial white folks. And a nigga that's a Amir or an Imam or supposedly understands what we need, he was supposed to help her. You know what I mean? He was supposed to help. He could say, okay, yeah, okay, so I'm going to help her. But see, he didn't have it in him to help her. He was a little petty manipulator. He was a little petty manipulator, you know. And he thought that stuff. So I told him, I said, man, you can't do that. He said, I didn't do that. He told me, like same thing with pimping. I didn't say nothing about pimping. I said, man, look, I have to remember what you said. You was right over there and you was talking about that same stuff as in Iceberg Slim's book. You know, and that ain't what we're about. But they might be trying to test you to see where you're coming from. The other thing, snapping the finger at the lady. I said, you can't do that, man. You can't do people like that. But you got to remember, that girl stuck him in the back so thick. He was sitting there, and his wife, Sister Jamila, said, I want my husband back. You know, when Zakiya left him, and do y'all know the scandal stuff that was going on in Oakland? I'm going to be a little brief. I don't want to hurt nobody's feelings, but look, that color stuff. So the waviest headed boy in the school, Abdul Malik was running the school. Zakiya was the main teacher. So she got pregnant by a 15-year-old boy. And he was light-skinned. I mean, he was creamy-colored, boy. That boy was, and wavy hair and all of that. His mother was some type of, oh, you can't pick, people in California got so many blends that, you know what I mean, you can't tell everybody. But over here, you say that's the white boy, that nigga there, that's all they are. And it just, but over there, it's generational stuff. One of the curly-headed crew is Japanese and black. So he has a nice color, but he's wavy-headed too. He's part of the curly-headed crew. The other curly-headed crew is black, looks black and white, I'm assuming. I just know his daddy was a police. I never saw his mom. But they're the curly-headed crew. Okay, so that was enough. Imagine a guy with a little petty ego about girls and his wife get pregnant by, now I would stay up on everything because the curly-headed crew, when one of them was down in Texas, I said, did you know such and such? He said, yeah, when she got pregnant, she called me. The curly-headed crew from UC Berkeley, they was a clique, you know, whatever they was. Then two of the men was probably the police, and I don't know if Zakiya was. I got a feeling that she wasn't. So anyway, I don't mean to get off the subject, but the mama of the little boy had the blackest Negro in the United States. You know, as a stepfather for the little boy. Zakiya run off with the stepdaddy, got pregnant by the, I'm telling you, there's stuff out there. Look, I'm just telling you the truth. She got pregnant by the little boy. He got a bank robbery or something, and when he was 16 or 17, and went to jail. She run off around somewhere, I ain't gonna mention it. And she run off with the dark-skinned nigga. He was black. Because I was talking to him one time. He said, man, the people in this masjid, they call us the monster family. I said, they don't call you the monster family, they call you the Addams family. They do, they call them the Addams family. And then I thought what I just said, but anyway, that kind of stuff happens in Oakland. That's why I call it is the Masjid turn. That's a real story. If you think I'm lying, find somebody that's still around and ask them, did that happen? Yes, it did. Okay. So when they run across, I'm not saying I'm a paragon of virtue, but I don't do that stuff. I just don't do it. You ain't never seen, there has never been none of that nickel and dime stuff around here. Who like who did? We don't do that. When I left Oakland, that's all they do. It's not all they do, but they do a lot of that. Who likes who? Every time I would be going there, could I have some counseling, Imam, and oh, this guy, and that guy, and my husband, and da-da-da-da. And what's going to happen to me? Say, I don't know what's going to happen to you. You know, in other words, I'm available, you know. I said, man, whatever y'all do, I don't do that. You know, I'm grown. I'm fully grown. We're not teenagers. The masjid there, they're teenagers. They haven't evolved. Even now, some of them are 60 years old. They have not evolved behind past than teenagers. I told Abdul Malik out there, after all this happened, he said, yeah, well, I'm going to get me another wife. I said, look, man, why don't you give your wife, he had 2 wives. I said, why don't you give your original wife, who'd been with him, went through all of that stuff, the same one that said, hey, I want my husband back. Because you know how you get he was, look,